Mr. Pavan Verma, is my voice audible to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear you now. Sorry for the delay. I was a little bit
Uh,
confused with the time. I based out of Amsterdam, so I was not aware that it is IST timing. Sorry for the delay.
it's okay, sir. We can
It's
start
okay.
the
Okay,
session now.
Pawan. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry,
Uh,
somebody saying something?
no, I only just called you. Miss
Okay.
Shani, please no, start the session now. And Pawan, sorry for the trouble caused.
No problem. It's sorry from my side because I should aware that it's IST time zone. So I was
Okay.
driving back to Paris for one of my customer connect, and then I realized
Okay.
it's in IST timing. Sorry for that.
Okay. Okay. It's okay, Pawan. Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Shani, let us start the session.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. We now move on to the second technical session of day 6 of the 6-day ATAL sponsored online faculty development program on advancements in cloud and edge computing, research and industry perspectives. The second session focuses on a contemporary and highly relevant topic, cybersecurity in edge, which explores the security challenges and solutions associated with decentralized and edge-based computing environments. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our second resource person for the day, Mr. Pavan Verma, Cybersecurity Business Development Manager at TCS. Sir brings with him extensive industry exposure in cybersecurity strategy, edge security solutions, and enterprise risk management. His industry-driven insights will help participants understand practical approaches to securing edge infrastructures. So we are truly honored to have you with us. I kindly invite you to take over the session and share your expertise on cybersecurity in edge. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sunny. I'll quickly share my screen and give some viewpoint. And before we start, feel free to ask me a question. Feel free to interrupt me. Let's not have one-way discussion throughout. Feel free to interrupt me. These all are absolutely basic fundamental of cybersecurity. And these all fundamental I'm talking about, I'll focus on one of the towers and then because it's cybersecurity is if you start speaking, I can speak at least for next 5 days, right? That big cybersecurity nowadays. So quickly, I'll introduce myself. So I hope my screen is visible, Sani, right? Everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's
Yeah.
visible.
So I'll quickly introduce myself. As name say, my name is Pavan. I'm working with TCS. I'm based out of Amsterdam office, TCS office, and my major role or responsibility it has been the same role. I can say that I started my career with the same that you guys are going to start after graduating with computer science, then might be software engineers testing many things, right? And then somehow I decided to have a management degree. I did my management degree as well. And then from last 12, 13 years, I am doing the same thing from the sale, how we can grow the business of cybersecurity. So right now I'm doing the Benelux and Nordics and some of the elements I'm trying to do. Now, coming back to the
So,
topic, right? Sorry,
so sorry to interrupt you. Can you put the slide in the presentation mode?
I think it's already done. Or
No,
you
I think
just one second. Let me try again. What about now?
yes, sir. Now it's perfect. Thank you.
Uh, No problem. Thank you, Sunny. Now, coming back to the topic part. So today I will not going to cover too much of stuff that is not very much practical, right? So last couple of days I was trying to understand what should I cover, right? So I figure out that let's talk about more in terms of what is the trend right now and what kind of fraud going to or happening in the market, right? And I'll more focus on IAM part. IAM stand for access identity management, right? When we talk about access identity management, it has many element. The first element would be your employee identity. Second element can be your non-human identity, and then customer, and so on. It's more than 10, 20 identities. Then I'll also give you the viewpoint of how identity management explore from last 100 years, like how the identity management happening in 1900 or to till date. what kind of fraud happening in the identity, right? If we are able to correlate what is happening and what is fraud is going to happen, then you can summarize with AI edge. Edge is very big topic. Sometime whenever we have 2 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours, we'll talk about more in edge. But let's focus on, at least for today agenda is, once we are leaving this call after 1 hour or 30 minutes and 1.5 hours, we should understand overall viewpoint of cybersecurity. And in the cybersecurity, we should understand identity and access management, what is and how it is evolved, and what AI is going to bring on the table. So that is the whole thought process. I'll keep pausing in the presentation. Feel free to interrupt, have a question, unmute, no need to type, unmute and speak. It's okay. Like, right. So this is my agenda. I generally avoid to have many slides in my presentation. I have just 4 5 slides. I will try to give you my viewpoint, my limited experience, and these all things I'm trying to say that these are the important in the market. It's not just to understand. If you know these things, you will get an edge across the industry. If you are the person who wanted to build a career in cybersecurity, and I hope 90% or 100% folks know that cybersecurity is one of the hot topic that all the, especially with the banks, right? I work for the banks. All the banks are talking about cybersecurity. How do I secure? How do I make sure my infrastructure is secure? How do I make sure my clouds are secure? How do I make sure my identities are secure? And many things, right? Sorry. So these all 6 7 topics we are going to cover today. And let's start with the first topic, which says that global cybersecurity expend and fraud losses for 2024 and 2025, right? Uh, I just do not want to have too many numbers in the plate, right? So I just wanted to give you analysis, and these all numbers, it's absolutely able in you type it. What is the Gartner report says for cybersecurity? What is the Forrester report says for cybersecurity? And the same thing I have done. There is nothing I have created. The only thing I'm trying to give you the view how big the cybersecurity expend is and how big the losses are, right? I have a little bit more bias towards the EU side of the world because my whole career I worked with across Europe, name it the countries. I'm being part of how many countries? 6 7 countries I'm working in the across the Europe or more than that. So I will be little biased in the EU side because I have little bit experience bring on the table, right? So if you see the Gartner report, it says the current expend in the cybersecurity would be it's going to be close to 200 billion as a number in US dollar, right? And what are the drivers of the rapid growth is first, everybody is moving to the SaaS adoption. SaaS meaning when we talk about something in the cloud, right? There is no traditional way of infrastructures management, meaning that there is no physical devices, physical memory. You will have a SaaS players, you will have adoption of the SaaS because it's ready to use kind of thing, and you can use based on your requirement, right? Second thing is one of the booming, I think your professors is also talking about is the integration with AI. When I say AI, do not feel AI will replace the human. AI will replace the manpower effort in the day-to-day operation. When I say day-to-day operation, let's say people like somebody is working for one of the project or something. AI will not directly replace that person. AI will help them to reduce the work. Like if he needs or she needs 8 hours of repeated tasks, that absolutely AI is going to replace that. You can train the AI. Now there is many of the many products. Even the TCS also has building some of the AI capabilities in-house, working with the partner. These things are going on, and this is going to be a major segment next 5 years, I can say. And third, which is a major thing, and it's going to be booming in India in later or sooner, it's how the frameworks is going to be defined. Right? When I say frameworks, I'm more talking about few names I'm going to take. Please start writing. Even the recording is there. You can go and search. If you understand this framework, you are the already 2 step ahead with your competitors, right? So I feel like that, right? You also behave in the ecosystem where you feel you have to do something 2 step ahead wherever somebody or same peers are doing, and then only you can be uh, doing good for yourself, right? The frameworks, when I say is, you talk about NIS2, you talk about GDPR, you talk about DORA. These all frameworks are more familiar with EU side of the world, right? Even though states and India is still there, but not too much driven. I think everybody knows that European nations are little bit driven with the frameworks, little bit driven with policies, and too much of regulations, which is given to the people as a right? And then followed by Maitri framework. So these frameworks are going to define the layers of cybersecurity in the market, or I can say define the layers of living a new norms in in the United EU nations. When I say new norms, meaning if AI comes in the picture, you have to follow this framework. If you are living in the or in this EU nation, you have to follow this frameworks, meaning the public photos and things, many things, right? Meaning one of the example I'll give you. So data residue, meaning like your data cannot be moved from outside from EU. So that is the basic fundamental. Even though some of the countries like Luxembourg, if you are using the production data or whatever the data belongs to Luxembourg, your data center should be there in Luxembourg. As simple as it is. So that kind of regulation is started, which creates more complex, but at the same time, safety is priority for them, right? Second is, I think the last but the not the least, that this is one of the important point everybody should understand. Now the shift is zero trust or a first or a zero trust network or zero trust cybersecurity overall landscape, meaning you have to reduce the lesser and lesser human touch point across the security. Means you have to build your complete ecosystem as autonomous, where or might be some 5%, 2%, or 1% of the manual touch needed. And that is kind of means you secure all the layers of the cybersecurity. What are the layers? 8, 9 layers. I'm going to talk about layers of the cybersecurity as well, but that is the fundamental. Now, if I move to the fraud part or a losses part, it's the numbers are also high. Even though year on year, if you talk about 4 5 billion, it's a very big number, right? And globally, when you talk about it's close to 40 billion, which is again a very very big number. Why this fraud is happening? How this fraud is happening? I do have a slides from last 100 years, from 1900 to 2226, how this fraud evolved from the day to day. We'll talk about more detail. Don't worry about that part. Now, second thing is the more or less the fraud and expend, if you see the ratio part is close to like overall expend, if you see it's like to 20 25%. So it means you are paying 200 euros, you are expending 25 euros as a fraud. Somebody is taking the fraud. So main segment of the work would be how you can reduce the fraud, right? Fraud reduction, it's again a very big topic. I'll again touch base this fraud part. How you reduce this fraud? Meaning, if you see the ecosystem is 25 or 30% of your expense is going on fraud, meaning something has to be done, right? And that is why I talk about the drivers, regulatory, and the shifts, right? I'll pause here. Any clarity, any question, or it's very clear this slide? Okay, the silent means things are good. Okay. Now, the second slide or a second part of, so my whole presentation has a separate part. You can see everything as a separate as well, or everything as a correlated as well. So it's like that only. Now, this is the major segment. I just want everybody to focus and remember these things. It's going to be helpful for you. Do not go in more detail. I think you have many chat GPTs, many Google, you can go in and type, but the core fundamental of cybersecurity lies in the 6 or 7 1 regulations. You can add it. I think I forgot that to add. Regulation should be there on top of that, or governance should be there, which is called as GRC. So the major element is the first one, which is I'm going to talk about in detail, identity and access management, meaning in simple word, when I say identity, my name Pavan is also identity. How do I define? I'm an employee identity to TCS. Like anybody can also define as a professor name. He or she is a teacher or professor to the college as identity. Then there is an identity called machine identity, meaning my laptop has identity, which is mapped to my company owned by them. somebody, it has some data related to my company, my identities, my business and everything. So that is also identity. And I'm telling you, machine identity management is one of the booming element right now. Machine learning, you guys are also learning more or less. Please focus on that part because uh, employee identities are still mature. Still, you have many products in the markets and things like that. Machine identity is going to be next player in the world. And third, which is a very most important identity, is a customer identity. Let's say you use SBI, right? SBI has how many? It should be more than 100K or 200K or might be more than that as a customer. How do you secure your customer identity as a secure? And why do you need this customer identity secure? Because your customer is mapped with the credit card, your Aadhaar card, your passport, everything. So that security is again one of the important factors where billions of US dollars are expending right now. How do you make a secure and reverse system? Right. If I move to the second one, it's very much self-explained. We are more talking about a structure way. It should be structurally secure. How do you define a structurally secure? It should be a smart. You go and search, you will find out 10, 20 things from different frameworks, different thoughts, and then you can follow the same thing. Right? That is very simple in terms of the structures part. But make sure if you're searching, you search in place of cybersecurity for EU side. So all the countries has a different way of talking about zero trust, but it's over net sales. We are talking about securing from end to end. Third, we are talking about threat detection and response, meaning how do you manage a threat? How do you manage or monitor the threat? Meaning that we called as a SOC as well, right? Meaning how do you, let's say when I say threat can be anything, right? I know you guys are starting getting emails, fraud emails. That is our threat. So these are the advanced or a very thread which can be seen by the naked eyes. But there are the threads where you cannot see from the naked eyes, like attacking in the firewalls. Firewalls. I hope everybody knows the firewalls now, right? If not, just feel free to ask me. Uh, so when we talk about the threats which can't be seen from your eyes, then you have a best product in the market. Microsoft has the product, Google has a product, then you have an independent product vendors has a product, Palo Alto has one of the product, CloudStrike has one of the product. Meaning these threats are kind of autonomous where I think minimum interaction of the human needed. Meaning you have a human body, right? uh, you can define all the policies and everything in the system itself, and that system start tracking that part. That is we called as a threat detection and response, right? It's a kind of monitoring and responding to any kind of threat. It's the fourth one would be a data protection. When I say data protection, I think names also talk about the same thing. I'm also talking about the same thing. How do you protect your data? Meaning, I'll give you an example of data protection. Data protection also some element of DLP, some element of encryption is also part of that. Meaning, you guys also seeing in WhatsApp, it says end-to-end encryption. How do you make sure this end-to-end encryption happen? Meaning, you have something written, it should be encrypted in some machine learning where somebody cannot hack, or if they are able to hack, they are not able to read it, right? And then followed by encryption of the some secure space you can store it. So that kind of model is already there, and most of the products, most of the high player like Microsoft has one of the best solution I can say right now in the market with the lower cost, and then many more. Now talking about networks, so these all names are very much, if you search, if you wanted to learn, each element has their own way of working. Each element has one of the booming element in the market, right? Uh, so if I'll quickly finish and then come back to the overview of the core part. Then the network side of the world. How do you secure your networks are secure, right? Even though nowadays we are talking about micro segmentation, meaning you divide the whole segment in spaces and then start protecting. Right? Meaning when you start building a house. Let's say you are building a house. You will start try to define your bedroom and living area and the top floor, down floor, and then start seeing what kind of protections needed in living area, what kind of protection needed in bedroom, what kind of protection needed in kitchen. So that kind of network segmentation is also going, where we are trying to say we will going to protect end to end. All the endpoints are going to protect. So when I say endpoint, meaning a touch point in the ecosystem. Ecosystem, I'm talking about whole landscape of IT, right? So my laptop is one of the endpoint. My phone can be one of the endpoint. Any devices can be endpoint for the any of the customer. How do you secure that? That is we are talking about. And then the fundamental, which is running from last more than many years, right? Where IT exists, this security part is exist. Where when I say cloud, I'm more talking about all different types of clouds. You can have a GCP, Google Cloud, you can have Azure Cloud, you can have a AWS, you can have a some of the Indian. We are also starting some of the native cloud, like Ola also started that, and then you have many more native players as well. How do you manage the cloud security? When I say cloud security, in within the cloud security, these all features are coincide with the cloud security. In the cloud security, you have to manage the identities, you have to manage the threads, you have to manage the data protection, you have to manage in, but in different manner, right? I'm not going to say it's everything is same and it should be a different manner. It's managed in the different manner, but overall, 10,000 steps. If you see, everything is looks similar, right? So I'll pause here, right? If you see all the 6, 7 segment, and on top of that, there is a GRC, meaning the frameworks, the governance, a kind of norms that need to follow from the country. Like, I hope you guys are also reading the news. Indian government also started to have their own local data centers in India, right? Facebook, WhatsApp, everybody are now started doing that. So that is the norm. That is the framework has government has created. So if you add the 6 plus 1 governance 7, I would suggest each of you noted down these 7 frameworks, 7 element, pick one, and this one is very close to my heart. Pick one and start reading about this at least for 6, 7 months. I'm telling you, you will loving it, and this is one of the booming element in the market right now. Everybody wanted somebody knows a frameworks. They wanted to hire them, right? I'll pause here again for 5, 6 seconds. Any clarity, anything you wanted to ask me? Okay, no problem. Feel free to ask me. Let's have how many people join in the call, right? Let me go back to the teams. We have around 78 folks. Feel free to ask me. Keep this meeting as engaging where we both can talk and reply on this thought, right? Let's go to the next slide. Now, so I told you initially that we are more talking about management of identity. So when we talk about fraud, first understand how do you manage the identity. When I say manage, meaning operation part, right? Most of the fraud happen with the operation part, right? Because there is no way other than that to make a fraud, right? Uh, so first, let's understand the management of identity, and you will going to surprise a little bit. Even the management in whatever technology is coming up, the basic fundamental of fraud, the basic fundamental of management remains same. It's like it's only thing is changing is removing the human touch point in the ecosystem. Meaning, let's have a minimum manual or human touch point in the complete process, right? So if you start from 1900 to 1999, which is close to 100 years, uh, till if you see 1999 means you have a start of early start of Infosys, TCAs, or 1020 in middle depth. Like it's they are closing starting because they are just more following the same now. Meaning, I hope some of them aware that initially we manage all the identity with the paperwork, right? Everything is a manual, proper manual directories where you have a manual papers, you have manual entries, you have to manage everything, and then later or sooner there is some kind of mainframe authentication started, which is again nobody knows how to manage, right? It's a top secret. And till now, this mainframe authentication, nobody knows how to manage, right? All the banks, everybody who using, they are trying to move from the mainframe security, right? And then later or sooner, like, because in 19 or 19 in late 90s, your big IT company started working, so they have started introducing the concept of directory services, meaning directory services can be understood in the very simple manner. Like, you have a pages, right? You can create a column and row, and you can map with column and row with some of the element. When I say some of the element, meaning you can have a groups, like all the professors name should be in one group, all the students name in computer science should be one group. Even the computer science, you can segregate within age, between numbers, between uh, hobbies, between locations. These all can be created one group and segregated. So a similar kind of directory services with limited password kind of things has been created. So this is the whole. And then once you move to 20 2000 or 2014 or early 2000, where the IT is booming right now, then you will start seeing single sign in. Single sign in nowadays, you see OTPs and everything is coming, not in advanced version, but they started. Then you have role based access control. Nowadays, you can see in teams, right? Professor might be have a more access than student, or or management might be have a different kind of features than you because of your role. That is we called as a role based control. And then followed by till 2000 or 2012, you do not have a too much of cloud part of. Just please have a see in the names itself. First, it's absolutely manual or early digital. When I say early digital, I'm talking about directory services, little bit started what, and then 2000 to 2014 is all digital identity management, and then followed by 2015 to 2026 is all new way of managing the things. When I say new way, I think the scale of till here we are only talking about identity as little bit fully rely 90% rely on the human identity. When I say human, people like me, you, and everybody, we are not talking about machine like laptop management, but they have started little bit to managing like in the seat or somewhere who is owning the laptop and things like that. But 2015 is the year, or it's similar to plus minus one, you can talk about, is where you start talking about more in terms of adaptive authentication, meaning how do you make sure learn and make authentication change. It can be two-factor authentication, it can multi-factor authentication, it can be zero trust verification, it can be no authentication. It's all dependent of you learn, you will try to do it. You learn, you will try to do it. Second thing is comes in the picture is segregation of identity. I was talking about these three things. Somebody need to go on mute.
हाँ तो 26 जनवरी के लिए फिर 13 को ही रहेगा.
I have muted you. Sorry. I think you should go. Now, coming back, my thought is, uh, I think I spoke for identity, right? The IGA stand for X Identity Governance Administrator, PAM stand for Privilege Administrator, CIM stand Customer Identity Management or Customer Infrastructure. Separate, I'll talk about Zero Trust and Continuous Verification. So this is more talking about your employee identity management. So if you search in IGA cybersecurity, you will find out at least 10 products in the market. All are top-notch product. If you have understand any of the product, you will not going to run with any company. Company will ask you for a job, right? That kind of importance I can talk about. PAM again, it's a privilege identity management. How do you manage your servers? How do you manage your networks, network devices, and many things. One of the best product Palo Alto has is a CyberArk. Then customer identity. I think most of the products has a customer identity. I think Microsoft has a Inter ID and Okta. These are all big products. You can say that it's managed by them. And certain chain, if you see, is From this to this is the kind of importance given to the non-human identities. Most of the frauds it's nowadays is not from the identity of the employee. Yes, it is there, but majority is from the non-identity, the service accounts, meaning you create a service account for doing some work. Means if you have AI, you want AI to do some of the process day-to-day operations, you have to create some service account which is mapped to the AI, and then you will train the service account, and that training of service account will do the work. How do you secure the service account? That is very much focused because now we are talking about cloud, AI, Gen AI, machine learning. I do not know how many guys PQC, post quantum cryptography. How do you secure your quantums? Right now, you are not using the quantum machine. Later or sooner, in next couple of years, you have to be a quantum safe machine. Else, anybody can have hack that. Then the followed by policy at the code, just in time, zero standing privilege. These all things meaning just in time, meaning I need access for these 2 hours. Give me the access for those. So let's say I'm a developer. Why developer need access of production? If every years just for 2 hours he's using, just give the access for 2 hours. That kind of model has been started. So this is the whole in nutshell the summary view of identity across close to 100 years, right? And I think couple of years I can give you at least for a decade or more than that experience. It's very similar what I'm talking about. It's very real on ground. It's not in paper. It's absolutely real, and that is kind of shift we are seeing. And might be after 2026 or in 2026, there should be a Gen AI management based management of an AI, right? Or AI management, how AI is going to manage the identity. And I hope everybody is now talking about AI comes in the picture, it will take the jobs and things like that. But it will going to take the jobs. I'm not going to deny, but if you know the technology, how to make it, how to understand the technology, the day it's going to be human touch, nothing can be replaced, right? But your work is going to be optimized by AI, and that is something everybody is trying to do. All the big company, you take it, TCS, Accenture, Capgemini, SCL, whatnot, the states, Microsofts, and AWS, Palo Alto, everybody is trying to do optimize the run rate, whatever the effort needed right now, it should be reduced in future. It cannot be done as a zero, but for it can be done for a zero for those activity where the tasks are repeated, meaning you are doing the same task day by day, and you can note this task and draw some boxes that step one, step two, step three, and then you can do it. The bot can do that, and that is something I have. These all things are very similar. We are doing not right now. It's 5, 6 years back. Also, we are doing so with the RPA tools or robotic tools. Right. I'll again pause here for a couple of more seconds and then I'll move to the next slide. Any clarity needed? Any questions? What is LDAP? I'm not explaining too much LDAP SSO because I just want somebody to ask. Else, I'll make it. Guys. A SOC, ISO, what kind of rack up? What do you mean by rack up? What is X500? If you see, there is too many names. What is just in time? Any clarity, anything you needed in our your viewpoint in identity, anything is also okay. Okay, thank you. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. Now, so till now, if I summarize everything, so we talk about overall view of how much money or how much expend and fraud in the ecosystem in cybersecurity. And if you guys remember, it's close to 200 billion, right? Uh, Identity would be nothing less than 20% of that amount. So identity is one of the major segment or driving section in nowadays. Identity, if you secure the identity, meaning you are securing 20-25% of the network, because most of the frauds nowadays is happening with the employees and machine identity. It can be in cloud, can be anywhere. So that kind of model you have in the ecosystem, right? Let's and then followed by we talk about identity, how it is evolved from 1900 to till now, and what kind of changes is driving. More or less, the changes are more digital, AI, cloud, or a kind of machine learnings, making sure your bot is learning your day-to-day operation and try to do that without manual intervention. That kind of model we learn. Now, let's talk about little bit how. So if you talk about identity, how it is evolved, you should talk about how the fraud evolved, and think through, right? I will ask some of the question, and that how identity evolve and how fraud evolve, what kind of similarity you see. If you ask me, my experience is, if you sit 10,000 steps, if you see, the basic fundamentals remain same. The way of doing is start changing, right? It might be more advanced way of they are doing or something like that, but fundamental remains same. So initially it was initially that it was a paperwork, like physical. The physical was, somebody can stolen the paper, somebody can damage the paper, somebody can modify the paper. As simple as it is, that is what happening. I think you guys also seeing some of the movies where what exactly happened in 23rd or late or early 20s with the bank, where they are trying to give a manual documents to some of them and they are misusing them, and somehow it's going to be fraud to the bank and things like that. Because of everything is in paper. Anybody can write something and give it to. If you are in top management and carrying the chairs, you try to favor them, and that kind of problem is one of the biggest problem because of the documents are physical. Second, uh, second part is, you can't secure a physical document if within your ecosystem. If anybody is modify, nobody remembers what is the last numbers, and finding out that person is also again a different challenge because there is no footprint. Eh, So if you do not have a footprint, if you do not have any, and getting a camera and everything hacked, it's not very normal now in late early 20s as well. So that is the biggest problem where frauds happen a lot. Meaning like, and you see, meaning like making uh identity favoring something, and I making sure identity has been revolve around here and there. That has happened in 1900 to 1999. Let's move to the early 2000 and 2014. Now, in era of digital identity and internet fraud, I think these are the one of the element, and one of the element where it started, that which give the footprint of 2026 as well. So more or less, it's like people start harvesting the credential. When I say harvesting, uh, it's talk about misusing your credential, and try to I think you also reading too many news. How many people are misusing the Aadhaar and taking a wrong SIM or false SIM? This is all digital identity. So you have Aadhaar, somebody is using your Aadhaar to take a SIM, but nowadays it's absolutely banned because of the multi-factor authentication and everything I'll talk about. Because I also work little bit with the Aadhaar team. I think not now, it's like more than 6 7 years back. uh, so more or less, so when you talk about digital identity and internet frauds, we are more talking about the credential mismatching, or playing with the credential, or making sure that the data can be accessed. It's like basic fundamental we are talking about. And then when you move to the 2025 to 2026, it's all AI powered frauds, right? It's all non-human frauds. Uh, I hope you guys are familiar with all the editing apps. Now you have a Gen AI, you take my picture and paste and ask him to replace some names or something. Everything is very much possible. That is what right now happening. That is what nobody knows, that non-human identities are is one of the risks in Gen AI world. Your non-human identities has been created, like my laptop can also consider as a non-human identity. It's one of the greatest risks to my organization, and that is why they are expending money. So we do have a G-scaler installed in our machines and things like that. So, and that is very much important to understand to everybody, right? If you know the current landscape and what is going to happen in next 5, 10 years, your life is very much sorted and very much simple. Uh, if you see the fundamental for 1, 2, 3 blocks, and then I'll summarize what is evolved. This is the summary view. I'll just summarize in, let's say, 5 minutes. So if you see this manual identity to the digital era of cloud, what exactly is happening? It's the shift from the human identity to the non-human identity. I think if you remember, the same thing we talk about the my identity management way. So now everybody is more focusing on no non-identity management, because it's a fraud. It's a proactive way of they are managing, because that is the more or less element where you cannot train them. You have to make the process very much strong. And how do you train your laptop to behave like that? You can build on top layers. It's not a human being where you can train. uh, these are the false emails and you shouldn't click and things like that. You can go ahead and train human beings and they can train it. For machine, you have to create a layers. You have to create some ecosystem where they can where you can protect. They are not going to do anything. It's like you have to do the things where you have to protect, right? So if you start from this to this, right, initially, if you see the first part, first element, the fraud evolved from the physical intervention to AI driven. One example to you is early 1900. You have everything in paper. Things can be dismantled, things can be changed and favor something. Now AI, same kind of ecosystem you can modify by AI. Simple, right? It's very similar, but it's all we are talking about AI driven. Second, non-human identities, right? Introduction is happen. Non-human identities like bots. When I say bots, bots generally create to do a day-to-day operations in. When I say day-to-day operation, I'm more talking about same sets of operation. Like these are the 10 things a bot need to do, and then generally you create a bot and train them, and then something is generally happen. Then there is a API keys, meaning your keys can be secure somewhere. So from this creation to make sure this is very much secure and very much identified, that is something we are talking about in as a non-human identity, which is one of the famous one. I must say, everybody start reading about non-human identities. What do you mean by non-human identity? How do you secure? What are the best product in the market? What are the best processes in the market? What are the frameworks in the market? I think this is going to help you a lot. And the last one is the identity fraud. Nowadays, you need not to think too much about identity. If you wanted to create a similar your social media page, you go and ask Chat GPT, get all the information. Even though you search my name in the LinkedIn Chat GPT, you will get all the details. So I do not know. That is why I was trying to say, very careful with identity nowadays. Whatever you are posting, whatever you are trying to do, very, very careful. And uh, this identity is one of the element you should very much careful in terms of what you're trying to do. And start reading about identity frauds, start reading about new norms of identity. If you're using any of the social media, you should learn what is your identity, how do you secure your identity. Later or sooner you will get to know that the importance of the identity, what kind of laws has been created for you. It can be happen anything to you, right? But the fundamental should be very simple. You should aware about your laws. You should aware about the management. You should aware about how do you behave in case of identity fraud. I'll tell you one example. So it's like not right now. It's close to 10 years back. So I was working day to day in my office, and then I get to know that there is one lady got fraud uh, in the office itself, and she was going back to the office to home, picking the parcel, and then the parcel or this guy asked the OTP. I do not know how it actually happened. I'm just giving you the viewpoint. Asked the OTP and she shared the OTP and get receive a parcel. Somehow she are able to get to know that this guy is not genuine, and the parcel is also packed with something. And then OTP is to clone the phone of that girl, and that kind of model is right now. Whosoever you are sharing OTPs, whosoever you are sharing some information or try to connect with them, see, before connecting, just have a viewpoint. Do you really wanted to connect? Do you really wanted to see? Validate one round. So in security, we generally say have a three layer of the element. Layer one, validate. Layer two will be just wait and think, and layer third will be action. So that kind of model you have to create in yourself as well. And if you are able to start thinking now, at least in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you will start thinking about securities and cyber and everything, right? Yeah. So this is whole slide I have. I have one more or two more slides talks about the summary view, but I just do not want to talk about more fancy workflows and things like that. I just wanted to give you the viewpoint, how the cybersecurity evolved, how the identity management evolve, how the fraud evolve, and what is the core element of cybersecurity. So these are the four fundamental I wanted to give back to you. Later or sooner, if you have some time, I can also come back and talk about more detail into cybersecurity. It's again needed too many times, and we can also plan sometime later. Right? Any question till date? Any question till time? Any clarity needed? Anything in chat as well? No? Okay. Let's move to the last slide. Yeah. So this is one of the summary. I can say that I'll take 10 minutes to talk about the slide, and then it's open. Next 10 minutes is open for you guys to any Q&A. And then, yeah. So I think I was talking last 40 minutes or 45 minutes, the same line. Identity first security should be implemented across the unit. Nowadays is already there. In your college, you also see that your identity is created first and then only you will get enter. So that is the identity first security, meaning your identity will validate with multi layers operation. So once you start your journey with your campus, let's say you get a letter from the campus that you have to join this college and so and so, then the process start validation of your identity, validation of your credential, validation of your background, validation of many more things. And then you will create identity. And how do you create identity? You create identity with certain workflows, meaning your your ecosystem has been created. Some of the workflows given to student for computer science, might be other department, might be show department, might be masters, might be PhDs, and everybody has created some kind of workflows and processes in the system. And those systems will automatically pick your name, and you have to just assign the group, meaning you create a group name with this so and so on, and you assign the group with that identity. And then all the process and elements are going to align or map to that identity. That is very much fundamental in modern security or access identity management. You and the most important in a modern security is educate your workforce, train your workforce day to day. Training can be done one to one, training can be done group, training can be done sharing a document, training can be done by giving some of the sample examples, how generally happen. These all are training that can be done. And that is very much important in the ecosystem if you wanted to build a modern security, modern identity, cybersecurity in the ecosystem. And the fundamental of the modern identity would be managing all the landscape. When I say all the landscape, meaning your customer identities. When I say customer identity, I'm talking about customer identity in cloud, in on-prem, or in multi-cloud environment, or in mainframe security. Everywhere, wherever you have identity of your customers, it should be managed in the similar fashion. The way of doing is going to be different, but your policies, your workflows, your it should be similar. It should not be in cloud. You will give 10 more X's, in on-prem you will give 5 X's. I do not know. Then the whole ecosystem is going to be chaos, and then you have to create some kind of standard processes on the your organization viewpoint. One of the major viewpoint I can say you that once the employee leave the company, they are not going to join back. That is a policy given. But in the ecosystem, how do you define is once the employee leave in 13 in the day of leaving, the identity need to be removed. In 30 days, the identity need to be moved in the some other OUs or other O non-active where the access and license are not going to charge. Let's say after 6 months, it should be erased. After 2 years, all the identity is erased from the complete environment. So these all models you have to start building based on how do you because you can't keep identity along. It means if you are keeping the identity long without any use, then you have to secure that identity as well. When you start securing the identity, it means you require the money to secure as well. So that kind of modern cybersecurity need to be built where your policy should be written, your processes should be given, your training of identity should be given, your customer identity policies should be very much defined. You should use the best product in the market or best features in the market right now, and then followed by you start learning and learning on that part. Sorry, somebody's asking.
No.
No,
Okay,
sir, you
okay.
can continue.
Yeah. So the next element of the summary view will be AI integration. I think most of everybody is talking about AI, but it's very critical. How do you adopt AI in the ecosystem which without any too much of intervention of new need not to be created new things in the ecosystem. You have to just create a kind of real time integration. Nowadays, AI integration can be done very simple manner. Let's say I'll give you example of the AI integration or removing the manual touch point. Now there is a process called role mining. When I say role mining, meaning I am employee of TCS, might be I report to four more person, might be I own four more license, might be I own four accesses in different geography. Who is going to say that my accesses and everything is good and everything is as per process, everything as per norms, everything as for my role and things like that. One way is you take my name, figure out everything, create something somewhere, and start validating the things with my management. That is one way. Second way is you enable the features from AI, meaning you take the standard data from the corporate, feed on the AI engine. When I say AI engine, I'm more talking about your scripts and that need to be created, which we already have some of the engines in the bucket, and then followed by validation. So in the process generally takes 3 months to validate any of the good mature organization. With the help of AI, you can do in a week or so the complete road mining, meaning you will get a standard report saying that these are the 50,000 employees you have, and these are the accesses, and these are the approved accesses from you, or these are the non-approved accesses from you. And then at the same time, you can take the action as well. If your organization wanted those who do not have approval, remove the access, the AI can remove the accesses as well. So very smooth. AI should be add on your work. It should not be created from scratch. If you start creating from scratch, it means the complete 2020 till 2020 or 2022, your work is no more in use. It should be add-on. AI is going to add on services. We always called add-on services to existing products. Will give you the more flex in terms of taking a autonomous governance. If you start creating these kind of role mining, these kind of processes, this kind of engine, it means you have to just give a last step to validate or give the information to them or taking a side out. So AI will take care of your governance and everything. Yeah. That is AI. And I'm telling you, next 5 years, it's going to be a roller coaster. Whosoever is doing uh, a kind of manual activity, everybody is going to be replaced by AI or might be optimized by AI. So nobody wanted a manual human intervention. Let's say manual intervention. When I say, it can be anything. It can be parking a car. You need not to worry about how to park a car. AI will take care in next couple of years in India as well. But again, we'll see. We'll see because it's all infrastructures and everything is also there. But in now, most of the few of the countries, they started everything is autonomous as a AI for say. Now, the last point I have for this meeting, with in couple of minutes, I'll finish it and then I'll open for any clarity, questions, anything needed. And I have already shared this deck. Feel free to explore internally. Feel free to explore. There is nothing material from my company. It's all research-based creation. So it's everything for you. You guys can explore, send me emails and anything you needed. Connect me over in LinkedIn. Anything is okay for me. The key best practices of part would be one, I don't know what kind of password authentication you guys using. So now the next norm and very much resistance in terms of how do you secure or how do you make your complete ecosystem is password-less authentication. Password-less authentication meaning there should not be no password in the ecosystem, but it doesn't mean you are not going to validate. It's going to be multi-factor authentication. It's not just a password. It can be many of the app using app, meaning this is one of the key part generally everybody is trying to do. That is from the human side of the world. Sorry, somebody has ring my phone. Sorry for that. Now, second would be a least privilege, a machine identity side of the world, meaning how do you make sure your machine identities are secure? One of the most fundamental is do not give too much privilege accesses to everybody as a user. Limit the privilege accesses and also give access to the machine to just in time kind of thing. So, and that is why you are going to be more secure, meaning if I am a developer or if I am the resource who wanted the access for 2 hours, why do you need over a year to give the access? Just give for 2 hours. And the third and most important point is it should be a vaulting, it should be a governance, it should be a overview of the landscape, and governance should be managed by individual. It should be managed from the individual to and creating the whole organization on top of that. So that is the whole fundamental of identity. So I'm talking about too much of non-human identity because I'm seeing this non-human identities are going to be next AI in identity and access management. So whosoever is feeling identity would be the main element of their work and if they wanted to build the career, start reading about non-human identity. First, the basic fundamentals and then followed by anything you can read it. So in summary view, if I say from we talk about from 1900 to 2226, the fundamentals start from the manual paperwork to the AI world. And if you see, we are all talking about zero trust networks. We are all talking about the security first model. We are all talking about how do you make sure your modern security is going to be advanced, the fundamentals are few pillars, right? One pillar would be upgrading yourself. And these all pillars are also true for your own life as well, even though I also generally follow that. Upgrading yourself, meaning if your system is behaving, let's say 8 or 0, you should be upgrade somewhere. What is the current demand in AI? Enable the real time feeds to system. More or less, you should aware about the current trend, and then you enable real time acceptance, meaning you create a governance where you can see what kind of model are there and what are the things are more booming right now, what are the things I should pick and choose and try to drive. Third, which is the most important one, would be is it's not just identity people like me and you, it's also identity or day-to-day operation. Your phones are one of the non-human identity. Do not uh, and do not make like try to learn what is the non-human identity and how to use it. And please learn more in terms of your governance as well. What kind of norms you have, what kind of policies, whosoever countries you are living. So you start with the country, you move to the states, and then move to the locality. Everything has been given by the government of India, or wherever you are living right now. Read out your governance policies, read out your identity policies, read out the things. Do not use it, it's okay, but understand first. Right? That is very much fundamental right nowadays. You should be, you educate yourself. What are the norms you have in your bucket? I do not know how many you know. If you get fraud within 24 hours, if you complain it, I think in 30 days or 60 days, you will get the money back from the bank. But there is some process. So you have to start learning in terms of how do you, so you start learning from the framework, meaning what are the norms you have. You start learning what are the best products in market. You start learning about AI in IM, and then followed by non-human identity. These 4 5 things, it's going to help you in your life as well, right? And the last point that I have is when I say norms, you'll read out the regulatory policies as well. What is the ISO certificates? What kind of GDPR laws? What kind of identity laws you are applicable as a in our country, right? These all things you should learn and understand that part, and that is very much important in terms of getting yourself living in 2026. It's going to be more technology driven. Next 5 years, we are thinking about AI is going to be more powered, at least next 5 years, where technology going to talk. Nobody wanted people coming up and doing some kind of repeated tasks or SOP based tasks. And none of the organization is ready to train because they feel everything is already there in your internet, just a click away from you. So everybody is expecting you should learn and come back. Even though you are a fresher, a college student, that nobody cares about that part. So so this is the correct time. You pick some of the topics, start learning, prepare yourself, and and this is one of the craziest industry, I can say that. So it's one of the uh, highly demand job, I can say, in the market in cybersecurity right now. Even though AI is going to be more demanding, but AI and cybersecurity will run parallelly. But that kind of model, I can say you, it's something we should more focus and we should more learning on that part. Yeah, I think this is. I have my slides. But now I have, I think if I'm not wrong, I have 5 minute or 10 minutes. I'll pause here. I'll stop my sharing and open for any clarity, any question, anything you need from me. You can type in chat or so. This is my slide. Thank you for listening me politely and silently so that I can cover my topic. I hope I have making whatever I have promised, that giving a view of cybersecurity as a practice. What are the core capabilities? What kind of market spend, or what kind of fraud? That is the second topic. And third one would be how the identity has been evolved along with fraud and the summary. So I hope that minimum thing I'm able to cover it. I'll pause here for any clarity, anything you wanted from me. Yeah, over to you, Sunny and Doctor.
Your participants, if you have any more queries, you can put it in the chat box or you can unmute and directly ask to the resource person.
Pavan, it's indeed a very clear presentation, starting from the beginning, the fundamentals to creating awareness. What is the current strategy, with respect to security? And you started with some negative aspect of it, inducing some interest or awareness to the participants why we should be aware of it. Then you have even no, actually, I had some questions that those are all even touched upon in the course of the presentation. I actually am thought of asking how the students prepare themselves to build their careers in this domain, and that also you answered at the end. Thank you so much for your time and that to your weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's pleasure for me, Professor. I think looking forward for more engagement. But only thing, guys, it's a right time to ask the question, right? Always be open with the question. There is no good, bad. Even though when I was there in the school days, I think same feedback I received from the speakers. But I will also go ahead and say the same thing that there is nothing called good or bad. You should be vocal enough. We are talking about Gen AI world. If you're not vocal, I think Gen AI can also take your voice as well. So that is the statement. I just finished that. And thank you for inviting me. And it's pleasure. I think 12 minutes we can save our calendar. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable and informative session. It was indeed an honor to have you with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.